Hello everyone, it's Phil here doing another tech review and tweak guide. In this video we're gonna look at Wing Commander. So I've installed it in here and let's just run it and see what it looks like, and then we talk about what we can tweak. So the graphics are a little bit small, it's a centered output and the resolution is a bit low, so we definitely have to tweak the graphics. Sound and music is working fine. Joystick is also working fine. I'm using a USB joystick. It's a Logitech Extreme 3D Pro, and I actually played quite a lot in the last few days. It's a very good game. So joystick control works actually really well, but there's actually a lot to talk about in regards to the joystick. So we're just gonna go here and quit the game. So lots of things to tweak, because out of the box the experience is not ideal. Now I've done some cheat sheets here because there's actually a lot to cover, and I don't want to forget anything. Now we will improve the graphics. We will also change the game to use the MUNT MT32 emulator, and I'm going to show to you how this all works. There are 3 games basically. There's Wing Commander, Secret Missions, and Secret Missions 2. And the interesting thing is that Wing Commander and Secret Missions, you can access Secret Missions by running through the Wing Commander shortcut. You saw the menu, that's where you start the game, choose the menu option for Secret Missions, whereas Secret Missions 2 has its own launch menu. Secret Missions 2 also uses a slightly different game engine and doesn't have the speed issues that Wing Commander and Secret Missions 1 have. So we start by tweaking the game by going to our Wing Commander folder, and we open the DOSBox WC config file. Just gonna move this over here, and there are a few things we need to change. Full screen, this just means that automatically it opens in full screen mode. I'm gonna set that to false, but that's purely because I want to show how the MUNT emulator works, because it shows you some cool things when you launch the game. Full screen resolution, whatever your monitor is, put that in here. So I've got a 1920 by 1080 screen. Window resolution, I'm just going to go with 800 by 600. That allows me to use the space on my monitor quite well. With the output, there are 3 output modes I recommend. Let's see, where are they? There they are. OpenGL, non-bilinear, and direct draw. I always go with OpenGL. It gives you a nice, consistent, and a slightly softer look. Go for OpenGL and non-bilinear, or direct draw if you want a razor sharp pixel look. That's all we have to do here. Let's see what else we need to change. Yep, aspect ratio, definitely set that to true, so that the game is not stretched in widescreen and all the faces are oval, roundish, you know. Scaler, set that to normal 3x. And here we are for the processor. Now, Wing Commander and Wing Commander Secret Missions 1 use an engine, and it's really processor speed sensitive. When it came out on the box, it talks about 12 megahertz, and I've got some footage here running the game on a 25 megahertz 386 and then on a 40 megahertz 386. And the key to having a good gaming experience in Wing Commander is actually playing it on a slow computer and just accepting that the frame rate is low. You're not gonna get 30 or 60 frames per second. That's not how it was back in the day. It is a kind of it is a little bit like a slideshow, yeah. And the weird thing is that you'll get used to it, yeah. The game speed varies a lot. There are scenes with lots of stuff going on, a lot of ships, asteroids, explosions, and so on, and the frame rate will go down. On the other hand, there are scenes where you've killed everything and there's this one last enemy remaining, and if your cycle speed is too fast, you're really gonna struggle. So my recommendation, and that's just how I play the game, I go actually with quite a low speed of 3000, which means the game will lag and be quite slow, but it'll be also very easy to play. The joystick control will work better, and the experience is actually just fine. Now, cycle up and down, those control the steps by how much you can change the cycle rate during the game by pressing the control key. So that's down here. By pressing the control key and F11 or F12, you can adjust the cycle speed while the game runs. But 1000 is just too big of a step, so you want to have smaller increments. Because maybe you prefer, when there's more going on, that you actually give it a bit more cycle speed to speed up the game. For the mixer, we're gonna change the sample rate to 48,000. And now we got to configure our MIDI for the MUNT MT32 emulator. So we need to tell it a MIDI config, which is basically what MIDI device Windows is gonna, our DOSBox is gonna talk to. So to do that, we just go to our Wing Commander 1 and 2 folder, into DOSBox folder, run just a blank DOSBox, and we type in mixer/list MIDI. So our MIDI device is the one I want to use, is the MT32 synth emulator, so MIDI config is the number 2. So we close that and go back here, put a 2 in there. If you do play with Sound Blaster, we can also improve the sound a little bit by going with a higher sample rate. And down here, if you want to play with the PC speaker, you can play it with 48,000 sample rate as well. And now we're talking about the joystick, and that's quite interesting. And I've been having some discussions with other people on GOG and other forums, and I came across all sorts of things talking about dead zone issues, and that there are tweaks or different joysticks work better. There's even a DOSBox version that allows you setting the dead zone. But when I played the game on my 386 machine, I used a Logitech, not Logitech, a Microsoft Sidewinder 3D Pro, and the dead zone was there just like it was under DOSBox. The key to playing Wing Commander well with the joystick is, once again, running it on a slow computer. At small movements, the game does have a dead zone, and it acts a little bit digital. So it means you have to push it a little bit further than you think you would have to, and then it starts moving quite substantially. So you can't do really slow movements. Yeah, you have to kind of tap your joystick left, right, up, down, like with a digital device. However, if your computer is slow, then that actually works really well. But if you're playing it on a faster computer or a high cycle speed, then that joystick control is just not going to work, and you're going to find it really hard to aim properly and line up your shots. Mouse control is a lot better in that regard. You can actually do a lot finer controls. So once again, I recommend go with a slow cycle speed if you're having issues with the joystick, and you also need to calibrate the joystick, which I'm gonna I might just put in a little clip of how to do that. Basically, in the main screen where you start a new game or you load a game, you just press the J button and then you calibrate your joystick, and that should also sort things out. Timed equals false is already set. Sometimes games give you issue, try it with true. If it's set to true, try it with false. So that's one of the things you can play around with. And the joystick type, Wing Commander just uses 2-axis joysticks and 2 buttons. So I'm just gonna go with that, and that should sort everything out. And I think that's everything. So let's go File, Save, close it. So I quit that. So I got all up to here. I still have to configure something else. There are 2 files in here. Wing Commander config. Let's just make this a bit smaller. And Crusade config. So usually in old DOS games, a program like setup, set sound, or install allowed you to tell the game what kind of a sound card you had in your computer. GOG decided to remove that from the game, so we have to manually edit these configuration files. And I've got a little cheat sheet here. So basically, if you don't want a sound, you go with V space Z. If you want PC speaker sound, you go with V space P space Z. For adlib, this one, V space A904 space Z, and Roland MT32 V space R space Z. So we're gonna go with these 2. And I'm gonna put all the links to all the things that I'm talking about down below, MUNT emulator and all these settings. There might be a link to my webpage, and I'll just do it right up there, but either way, you'll find all the information there. Now, you also need to have your MUNT emulator loaded, and you need to have your ROMs loaded. Please don't ask me for where to get the ROMs. I can't help you out in that regard. Okay, let's run it again and see if the MUNT emulator works a little bit. Yes, there you go. So it's receiving the MIDI messages. That means it's all up and running. Might as well just show you the joystick calibration now. So we're pressing J, center, upper left corner, lower right corner, and joystick is calibrated. Okay, that's all working fine. So let's quit that with Alt and X. And let me just double check that I've covered everything so far. Talked about the audio sample and command choice. Yep, that's all good. So there's one more thing I want to mention is how to transfer your save game. So when you beat Wing Commander, you can actually transfer your pilot stats to Wing Commander Secret Missions and also Wing Commander Secret Missions 2. Now, if you beat Wing Commander Secret Missions, you can also transfer those those pilot informations or stats to Secret Missions 2. And there are two files you need to use, transfer and transfer to. The problem is there are no shortcuts, so GOG.com didn't provide shortcuts, so we're gonna create our own little shortcut to run those programs. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy paste the launch Wing Commander shortcut, and I'm gonna right click rename and just gonna call it CMD for command. So we're just gonna have a command line command that takes us to the command line where you can do things. Yeah. Then we also need to take this config file, copy paste, and we'll right click and rename, and instead of calling it DOSBox_Wing Commander single, DOSBox WC underscore single, we're gonna call it DOSBox WC underscore command. Then we have to edit this config file, and we just delete these two down here, which means it just won't, and the CLS as well. Yep. So it just means you won't run the game, and we can actually get to the command prompt, but we still need to edit the shortcut as well. And we get rid of the exit, and instead of having single here, we type in command. So let's see if that works. There you go. Okay, and now we can type in dir, and there are the two files. So if we run transfer, it'll actually launch the game, and we can then pick a pilot to transfer to Secret Missions. So, now I don't have one, so I'm just gonna go quit. I've actually got a screenshot that shows you a message when you must have saved the game first. Yeah. So let's quit. And if you want to transfer a pilot to Secret Missions 2, you type in trans 2, and it launches the Wing Commander Secret Missions 2 transfer program. I'm still in the process of playing through the first Wing Commander game, so I've actually haven't fully tried and tested this, but I don't see a reason why this shouldn't work, because it's fairly straightforward stuff. And I believe that's everything I wanted to talk about. So if you've been following this video, you should have good graphics, a nice full screen aspect ratio corrected image. You should have MT32 sound and music, a working joystick that's calibrated, and maybe reducing the cycle speed a little bit to get a more consistent gameplay. Thanks for watching. As always, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, let other people know what I'm doing, and check out my website, philscomputerlab.com. It's a nice place where I put all my YouTube video links and all sorts of other resources.